Hi everyone. So today we'll be going through three points. So the first one is we would understand what are cookies and what role does cookies plays in the website functionality and how you can utilize a particular curl command utility in Linux to send different type of requests. When I say different type of requests, that means like sending get, post, and all the other kind of request. Okay. So now we'll be going through the remaining part of this particular uh, module within our complete beginner path. So under the web fundamentals, last time we discussed about how do we load websites and what are the different HTTP verbs and status codes, request formats and everything. Now we will be covering this part about cookies. So what are cookies actually? Uh, if for example cookies in simpler terms, if I say cookies are used for session management. Okay, and now what do we mean by session management? I will try to explain it here. For example, you are a user, okay, and you are providing your username and password on a login page to the website, okay, to tell the website that you are a authenticated user or you are a user of that particular website. Now suppose you are user, okay, just a moment, let me, you are a user, you are sending your username and password to the website, okay, and now website says yeah, okay, like you are like your username and password is valid, so website will send you 200 okay, or you can go ahead, okay, like website will go give you permission to go ahead, okay, and this permission will be sent to the user, okay. So that's how you got authenticated with the website that you are a valid user. But now the thing is, this all of this, right, like this website that is running, okay, this is on HTTP or HTTPS. Now even if it is HTTPS or HTTP, in the backend we have HTTP protocol only. And here as you can see, right, HTTP is a stateless protocol, which means that every request you send to the particular website, okay, it's independent, okay, it each request doesn't know what request was sent previously, which means I will try to explain here. Now if you want to uh, ask, like once you authenticate, okay, and you want to access your profile section, okay, once you log in, like you want to see your first your name, email details, phone number and everything, right, in the your profile section. So this is user is saying that get me my profile page, right, get we discussed in last session only. So we are asking the website like this, okay, website.com, okay, and we are asking it to provide us this page, and we are sending this request to the website. But in this case, what would happen if we only send a request to get us the page of profile, and we know that profile page is an authenticated page, means it will be accessible only to the users who are authenticated, like who provided their username and password first. But if you only send this request, okay, like this only, like you just ask for this page, what would happen? Website would return you 403 forbidden, okay, this error code would be returned to you, like you are not allowed to access this particular page. Now why is that? This is because right now this request that we are sending to get this particular profile, okay, this particular request is unaware of the request that we sent earlier, okay, like we had already sent the username and password, but because this is a second request, it is unaware of the request that was sent to server before it, okay. So this request doesn't know that the username and password are already sent to the website, okay. So that's why the website doesn't know that username and password were sent to the server earlier, and that's why it's going to give us 403 forbidden error, okay. Now one solution to this particular thing could be like I will remove this part. One solution could be that when we are getting the profile page, okay, we re-authenticate ourselves, means in parallel to like getting the page, okay, before this page, I'm just giving in simple example, okay, we also provide our username and password. How we are going to provide, okay, that is another thing. But in simpler terms, if I say, if you provide your username password plus uh, you ask for the profile page, okay, if website is supposed to work in that way, like if you are providing username password in the request where you are sending the profile, the website may return 200, okay, or like website may say that here is here is your profile page, okay. It may work that way, okay. But the issue with this approach is you have to send your username and password with every request to show that you are an authenticated user, and it's not a nice approach actually, because in the request it would be like in plain text, and also like you can say it puts extra overload on the website, because every time website needs to check whether the username and password is valid or not, okay. So, in other words, if I tell you another example to explain this, okay, why HTTP is stateless, and why we need to authenticate with every request if we are using simple username password to authenticate. Another example would be like we are saying someone hi, okay, the other person says hi, okay. Now you say my name is Tom, so the other person would say hi Tom, right? But now the thing is, if you are asking, okay, like what is your name, okay, that is another statement or another request, right? But because HTTP is stateless, it doesn't know that you have introduced yourself in advance, okay. So now if I want to ask the other person his name or her name, I still have to authenticate my name myself. Okay. So now I can't, because HTTP is stateless. In reference to HTTP, I can't directly say that what is your name, and the other person is not going to return something like this. My name is something uh, like Captain America. That's coming on top of my head. So it's not going to return like that. Why? Because this person whom we are saying, right, that what is your name, he is not going to know that what was our name from the previous request, okay. So now what happens, similarly when we were sending username and password in every request, right, similarly what we have to do, we will have to send our authentication in every request, like my name is Tom, okay, what is your name, so the person would answer, okay. So this is kind of our authentication or our credentials, okay. Now again, if you want to ask where do you live, so again I will have to put it like this, my name is Tom, where do you live, and then the other person is going to reply, okay, that I live in India, okay. So this is what happens, because HTTP is stateless, it's not going to understand that in the first request itself you authenticated yourself, and you are not supposed to provide this credential each and every time, okay. But if we are not using cookies, okay, we will have to authenticate or like provide our identity every time, okay. So that's the use of cookies actually. If you use cookies, you are not supposed to send your username and password with every request, okay. So cookies would be something like this, okay, I will tell you. We had that example, right? Just a moment. Yeah, this example we had, right, that we were trying to get our profile, okay, and yeah, the website was telling us that it's a 403 forbidden, okay, because we didn't provide any credentials. Now what happens, just now see, once we provide our username and password, okay, what the website is going to do in return, okay, website is going to return a response header, okay, like if I show you here, we discussed yesterday as well what are response headers. For example, if I open google.com, okay, and I press F12 on my keyboard to access developer tools, and I reload this particular page, okay. So in the beginning only we got www.google.com. Here a get request was sent to this particular URL, and everything under response headers, right? This kind of data, okay, this is response headers, okay, under the response section. So what I'm saying is, normally whenever you are going to authenticate to a particular website, Okay, so whenever you just a moment, where it is. Yeah. So whenever you provide your username and password to a website, if your username and password is correct, what website is going to do? It's going to return a response header in the response called set hyphen cookie, and it would be a random token or number, you can say. Okay, like it could be anything. Like mostly it's around 32 characters or like that. It could be bigger as well, but it depends on the website how they have implemented cookies. So what it means that suppose I'm saying it would be like I'm putting gibberish here. Okay, like just understand that this is just a just a cookie that server returned to us. Okay, so whenever you provide your valid username password, website is going to give you a set cookie in the response. Okay, and this is our cookie, and it is returned to the user, means it is returned to the browser. Now if I want to get my profile, okay, what I have to do in the request only, okay, this is our request, right? In this request only, how I have to send the data, I will show you. I have to, whatever URL I want to get, I have to mention that, and with that, okay, I have to use another request header called cookie colon and the cookie that was told to us in the last request or like by the server. So that if we send now, okay, now if this request goes to website, okay, what website is going to do, okay, now what website is going to do, checks if the cookie is valid. Okay, if yes, what uh, which user's cookie it is. Once it finds that user, it will return the profile page of that user. Okay, so this is what the server is going to do, okay, in the backend. Like when we send the username and password to the website, what website did it, it found, it checked that username and password is valid, and what it did, created a cookie, okay, on the server only, like this one I am saying, right, this cookie it created, and it mapped that cookie to our account. Okay, now whenever we send this particular cookie in the request, okay, server would know that which account it has to get. Okay, and all the information related to that particular account only it's going to return. Okay, so when we send a particular request for profile with this cookie, it's going to first of all check whether this cookie is valid. Okay, like whether this cookie is the latest one. Okay, like it is assigned right now only. Okay, so it's going to check whether the cookie is valid or not. Okay, we will discuss about like what is when a cookie is expired or things like that, but just it's going to check whether it's valid. Okay, now once it is valid, it's going to check which user's cookie it is. Okay, so once it finds out that it's Tom's cookie, it's going to get the page profile page information of that particular user, and it is going to return that, return the profile page to the user. Okay, so this is how you can get rid of sending username and password with every request. You can send a cookie that is assigned to you by the server. Okay, so here also we'll see, just a moment. So let's see the example of that vulnerable website only that we discussed yesterday. If we go to proxies, we use our embedded, in the burp suite only we use our embedded browser. Okay, it's not opening for some, okay, it is already open, I guess. So here let's access this test php1web.com. Okay, I'll keep it like this so that we can see what is going on in the backend. So right now you can see there is a get request for this main website. Okay, here you can see, right, now cookies comes in when you are like authenticating yourself with the website, like you are providing your credentials and everything to the website. Now what I will do, I will start intercepting the request and I will go to sign up page. Okay, it is asking me to get the login page. I will forward it, So here you can see we are on the login page right now. I will forward all of these requests. Now it is already telling us that the username and password is test. I will put it like this. Still intercept is on. When I click on login, right, you can see that this test username and password is being sent to this particular PHP or like endpoint. Okay, PHP file it is being sent to. It's a post request. That's why we have data in the request body. Now right now, as you can see, there is no cookie here, right? Even if I search, there is no cookie. Okay, uh, that is wrong. Yeah, there is no cookie in the request right now because it is not assigned to us by server. What I will do, I want to see what is the response once we get authenticated, like once the server checks that we are a valid user. What is the response? So I'm going to right click here. I'm going to intercept the response for this one, this request. So do intercept the response for this request, and I'm going to forward it. As soon as I forward, right here, see, you can clearly see that a set cookie is set. Okay, in the response, this is actually, you can see this is the response from that particular endpoint. Set cookie is there, and we have a login equals to test percentage 2f test. Okay, now we are going a bit forward, but this percentage 2f is nothing. It's a URL encoded of slash. Actually, if you hover your mouse on this particular content, you can see it's test/test. So what's happening is server is simply setting your set cookie to login equals to whatever your username is slash your password. Okay, and now see, if I forward this particular request, because we can see 200 okay is there for the request that we sent for the login. Okay, that was good. So we got 200 okay, and server assigned a cookie to us. If we forward it, now this we are in the user info page. Now see what I will do. I will try to update my name like Tom Rider. Okay, I'm putting it. Now if I update, okay, if we were not using the cookies again, to update my data I would have to send my username and password with the request. But because right now we were assigned a cookie by the server, if I click on update, you will see that clearly in the request a cookie would be sent, okay, with the cookie request header, and whatever cookie was assigned to us in the previous response, that will be used to send the request. And because this is a valid cookie, right, this is assigned to us by server only. If I forward this request, but before forwarding I will intercept the response for this one as well, so that I can see what is coming in the response. So this one, and just a moment, I will forward it. Okay, so we forward it. This is another request, and the response from that update request is 200 okay. And now in all the subsequent requests, okay, we are not going to get that set cookie. Okay, it is assigned to us once we log in only. Okay, so in subsequent responses we are not going to get that set hyphen cookie. Okay, because one, we will be sending the cookie in the request. Okay, but we are not going to get that cookie in the responses back. Okay, it is returned to us once we log in only. Okay, on that request only it is returned to us. Now here, as you can see, that set cookie is not there because it's not required actually, because browser already have that cookie that was assigned to us in the first login request itself. So it will keep sending that cookie in all the requests, like wherever we are supposed to be an authenticated user. Okay, like we are supposed to be providing username and password, there it's going to send the cookie in place of username password. Now if I forward it, as you can see, now the response is reflected here that your name is updated. Even if I reload, right, it is on the reload also, it is intercepting that request. I will turn off the intercept off. See, even after the reload, you can see that your content is still there. Why is it still there? Because I will again turn on the intercept. If I reload it, okay, and click on continue, you can see that it is trying to get this user info page, and similarly in the reload as well, it is trying to send the cookie. So because this cookie is valid, it will show us the data that is there for the logged in user, and we are logged in as the user, that is test. Okay, so yeah, in detail, that's what cookie is. It is kind of a session management, or you can say authorization management as well. Okay, and now here you were able to see those cookies right in the request clearly using burp suite. But what if you want to see it in your browser itself? So what I will do, I will turn off this intercept in our burp suite, and I will show you how you can see it in your Chrome browser itself. Now if you want to see it, what you can do, you can press F12 on your keyboard. Okay, from here I will show it on the right hand side. Okay, so now we can see it on the right hand side. I will extend it a bit. Here where you are supposed to go, you are supposed to go to your application. Okay, and here under the applications you will have a cookies. If you extend this one, you will see the website name for which the cookies are stored. So this is our website, and here if you click, you can see that the cookie name is login and the value of this cookie is test percentage to f slash test, which means test slash test only. Okay, now there are other parameters as well regarding this. We will be discussing it in future, but just remember that the browser is, once cookie is returned to the browser or to the user, browser will store it in its local, you can say, storage. Okay, and you can get it from the developer tools. So when you press F12, come to application, go to cookies, you will be able to see what is the name of the cookie, what is the value of it. Now whenever you click on any of the URLs, okay, this cookie would be sent. Okay, but in what format? It would be sent in this particular format. Okay, like, just a moment. Yeah, it would be for sent in this format, like request header name would be cookie colon, then the cookie name, and then the cookie value. Okay, so this is the cookie name, this is the cookie value, and that's the standard of how you are supposed to send the cookies. Okay, so this is the standard format. Okay, now it could be, it depends on the server. Okay, it's not always going to be like username slash password only. Okay, this, it depends on the server. Server could assign any random cookie to you. Okay, and you are supposed to send that cookie with every request. Okay, and once you log out, okay, that cookie will expire. Actually, most of the time that cookie will expire. So if that is a random token, okay, and you logged out and now you are sending that cookie again to get some data, it's going to return you 403 again, that you are not allowed to use this cookie. Okay, that cookie is no longer available. But here, as you can see, they, even if I log out, okay, it depends on the website. I told you how they implement the cookie functionality, but this right now, this functionality actually, it's not a good one, because every time the cookie is same only. Okay, like it would be same test slash test only. I'll show you again. Even if we log out and log back in, okay, if you go to sign up, right, we'll forward this one again. It start the intercept again. If I login, and this is the login request, we'll intercept the response for this one, forward it, right, and just a moment. Yeah, and you can see in the response it is setting the same cookie that was last time used as well. Okay, now why it's a bad idea? Because if some attacker, okay, we will talk about how attackers can gain access to some users cookies. But if an attacker gains access to a cookie only one time, okay, and if that cookie is not changing, now what attacker can do, if he wants to access the this profile section, okay, once let me show you. Yeah, if the attacker wants to access the profile section of a user, he only needs to send a request to this particular endpoint, okay, using the cookie that he got from some other ways. Okay, so if the attacker sends that cookie to this endpoint to get this particular page, he would be able to access it. Okay, uh, or see, I will show you one more example how you can do it from the browser itself. Suppose you found out the cookies of a particular user by any means. Okay, there are different attacks. Okay, we will discuss in future. But suppose we know that there is a user for which the cookie name is login, and the value for that is test percentage to f test. Okay, how you can utilize it? Okay, see here I am going to the incognito mode. Okay, I will go to the test php1web.com. Okay, it is still intercepting the request. Okay, I close it. Now see, this is incognito mode. Okay, if I go to sign up, why am I again asked for logins? Because in incognito modes, all the cookies that you have, okay, those are erased. Okay, you get a like a complete new browser. Okay, whatever you did in another window, okay, that is not considered. I will show you why we don't have the cookies for this particular endpoint. I see under the application cookies for this particular endpoint. Okay, we don't have any cookies right now, but what I can do here, just a moment. Okay, in what you say, in Chrome we don't have a functionality to add a particular cookie, but same thing I will show you in Firefox. Okay, we are still believing the fact that we have the cookie of a particular user. Okay, and in Firefox, if I open this particular website, here as well, how you can see the cookies, press F12. Here there is another section. Actually, it would be under storage. Okay, then we have cookies. Here also you don't have any cookies right now, right? But it's asking us to log in. Okay, but suppose we got some other users cookies. Okay, and we want to access that account directly, and because the cookies are not changing for that user, it is always test %2f test, right? Even if that user logs out, okay, still the attacker would be able to gain access to his account. How? uh, you go to this particular website here, like under the cookies, you click on add a cookie. Here what you will do, you will, in the name you will put login. Okay, in the value you would put test %2f test. Okay, once you put it, it is in your local database, like in your browser only. Now because this cookie is there for this particular endpoint, the default functionality of browsers is whenever you load the any URL, okay, that is on this particular website, okay, it is going to send this cookie, and this cookie actually will make the server uh, it will force the server to give us all the pages, okay, which should be only visible to the actual user. Okay, because the server is identifying us based on the cookies only now. Okay, so now if I reload this page, okay, what would happen if I, okay, I reloaded that page, just a moment, maybe the cookies are okay, and we had a page called user info.php, right? Just a moment, it is not being sent actually. Let's see whether our cookie is right or wrong. Okay, so cookie name was small login actually. And here, let's see. Yeah, see, um, because we know that the profiles are at this endpoint, and even though we didn't have that user's username and password, we had the cookies only. We set those cookies in Firefox. Okay, similar to like from like similar to the Chrome only. Okay, and that way, not this, yeah, this is the Firefox, and once you load the page which should be restricted, okay, for an attacker, okay, still the attacker is able to see it, because the only way server is going to know whether you are the right user or not, okay, the server is going to check the cookies only. Okay, now that we have the cookies, we set it here, and I will show you in the network when you reload this page. Okay, in every request, okay, the cookies will be sent by our browser. See, this is the get page for userinfo.php here, right? This is the get for user info, and here in the request address you can see that the cookie that we set here in our storage, right, that was being sent, and that is why the server responded with the actual profile page of the victim user, okay, whose cookie we stole somehow. Okay, so this is like from a particular attack perspective. So the same thing is mentioned here, that using plus button you can add a particular cookie and all those things. Also you can double click and change it as well, like if you want to update a cookie, you can do that as well. So that's what is being explained here. Now, one more thing is there, that apart from cookies, there is one more mechanism that is not explained in more detail. So we are not going to go much deep into that. But sometimes instead of cookies, okay, what website does, okay, it sends some data in the local storage or session storage for a particular website, okay. So right now for this particular website, we had cookies, right, for test.php.vulnweb.com. But sometimes what the website does, it sends some data in the local storage or session storage, okay. And based on that, what would happen, the browser doesn't have to send any cookies to the server, anything, okay. Like all the data would be in the local storage only. You don't have to send any request to the server. Everything would be in your local storage or session storage only. And what that would mean, that even if you once you get all the local storage data or session storage data, okay, you even if you get disconnected from the internet, okay, you would still be able to access that website, because everything that is needed for that particular website, that is there. But in case there are some actions that needs to be performed, like send a request to the server, in that case you will definitely need the internet, okay. So that's what is like, that's, you can say that's a kind of alternate of cookies, but most of the time you will see that for session management or for authentication purposes, cookies are used, okay. So yeah, that's all about cookies. Any doubts regarding this part? Okay, okay, fine. Now what we will be doing, we have a mini CTF here, so we are supposed to use curl, okay. So curl, actually it's a most of the time curl means it's a command line utility, or a command only in Linux operating systems, okay. It comes in almost all the Linux operating systems by default, okay. You can install it on Windows as well and access it from CMD, but we will be using our Linux only, okay, to use this curl, okay. We have not discussed it in previous sessions, so we will just use it right away. So first of all, we are supposed to start this machine and then send the requests, okay. So I have already started that machine, that's why I got that particular machine's IP address here, okay. And on this particular IP address, actually a website is running, okay. How we can verify it? um, let's access our Kali machine from this TryHackMe. I have already started it, so that's why I'm seeing show split view button. And when I say there is a website running on this particular IP, okay, if I access this IP in the browser, right, in our attack box, okay, if you try to access it directly from here, like in your from your Windows, okay, it's not going to return anything, because you are not connected to that network, okay. You are not in the same private network, so that's why it's not going to return anything. But if you try to access it within your attack box or Kali machine that is provided by uh, TryHackMe, it should be able to access it, okay. I guess just to, okay, there's no web page hosted here, that's why it's returning us an error. But what we are supposed to do, we are supposed to use curl to send request to that particular endpoint, okay. So it is saying that there is a web server running, okay, a web server is running on this particular endpoint, okay. So I actually accessed on port 80, not 80801. By default, when you access it like this, right, then like this, it by default access for port 80, but it's not running on port 80, it is running on 8081. So you can see, right, there is a page, it is asking us to send a get request to this particular endpoint, then a post request at this endpoint, get the cookie and set the cookie, okay. How we can do it? uh, we are supposed to do it with curl, okay. So I will open terminal, okay, because curl is kind of a command only. I will zoom in a little bit. I will go to the full screen mode now, and this is our main URL. On top of that, we are supposed to attach this endpoint, okay, like add this part to this endpoint, and then we should be making a get request, okay. Now here, if I show you how you can understand the curl command a bit better, okay. If you see, we discussed about help option and manual pages in previous session. So if I use help option here, you will see a lot of options here, okay. Because it can be used for a lot of things apart from just making simple requests, okay. So all the switches or all the flags that is supported by curl, okay, that is here. One flag that, just a moment, right now we don't need any flags, okay. And if you try to read the manual page for this curl command, you will see a lot more data, okay. So it is mostly used to get the data from a URL, okay. And you could be getting the data in any way, like it could be a get request, it could be a post request, anything, okay. Now let's see how we can do it. The first exercise, here we are supposed to send a get request to this endpoint at this particular path, okay. So this is our complete, let me see. If we use curl space, this is the main URL, then on top of that we are supposed to send it to this particular path, so we will append it, okay. This is the endpoint. Now by default, if I press enter, you can see by default it will always send a get request, okay, to whatever URL you are mentioning after curl, okay. It would be a get request and we are supposed to send a get request. So it returned us the flag, okay, which is already submitted here. That's why it is correct answer, okay. So that's how, using this syntax, okay, you can send a get request, okay, to any URL and it would return whatever is there, okay, on that particular endpoint. So that's how we got the first flag, okay, by sending a get request to this endpoint. Another one is post request to this endpoint, but with the request body, right? Because in post request, if I again show you here in our burp suite as well, we had a post request, right, for login or like that. We are supposed to send a body in the request body after, like there is a space. We discussed which part of this request is a post body. So this is the part which is a request body, and in place of this part we are supposed to send a part like this, okay, flag please, okay, this body we are supposed to send, okay. Now how we can do it, I will clear the screen. I will show you, just a moment, let me check one option whether we have that option defined in the help option. So what I'm trying, there is, just a moment. See, in the output of curl space hyphen hyphen help, I pass that output to this particular command, okay, grep space data. In last sessions also we discussed that grep can be used to check for any keyword, okay. So I am checking for data keyword, okay. So from the output of this help command, we have data on these many places and we are supposed to use actually this hyphen hyphen data or hyphen d option to send a request body, okay. You can see, right, this is the http post data, okay, which is http post body, okay. So using hyphen d or hyphen hyphen data, you can send a post body. And one more thing, how we are supposed to mention the post method, http method, okay, because by default if we keep it like this and like the URL here, right, it's going to send a get request. So we are supposed to send a post request. So again, if I show you, okay, just a moment, let's look for post, okay. So that is mentioned in, just a moment, okay. I have to read the whole output because I'm not able to remember which flag you have to use to mention the HTTP method. So here if you see, it should be at hyphen x actually. Yeah, here see, we have a hyphen capital X, okay, which is used to mention the uh, what method you want to use, okay. Just a moment, let me double check. Yeah, so using hyphen X you can mention what um, HTTP method you want to use, okay. So I will clear the screen. We are supposed to use a post method, send to this endpoint with this data. Okay, so we have all the things that we need. After using curl, we are supposed to mention which method, that is post. Okay, so like this we can mention which HTTP method. Now we are supposed to also mention what data we are supposed to send. Okay, so we are supposed to send this data, right? So let's paste it like this, and then we are supposed to mention the whole endpoint where we are supposed to send this request. So that is like this, slash ctf slash post only. I guess that's the one, ctf slash post. If I press enter now, you see we got another flag. Okay, so using hyphen x option, you can mention the http method. Using hyphen hyphen data, you can mention what request body you are supposed to send, then the endpoint. Okay, now it's not mandatory that you put hyphen x first then hyphen hyphen data. You can mingle it as well, but just make sure that you are putting the syntax is right. Okay, you can use hyphen hyphen data before hyphen x post as well, so there is no issue with that. Flags you can use in any order. Okay, there is no fixed syntax for that. Okay, but make sure to provide the data to those flags properly, otherwise it's going to give you an error that the syntax is not right. So that's how we completed these two parts. Now what it is saying, that send a get request to this particular endpoint and check what is the cookie returned. Okay, now by default what happens, as you can see, when we send the post request, okay, we only got the main body, like what was the main response. Okay, we didn't get any response headers, right? When I say response headers, like we only got this body. Okay, but there are response headers as well. Just a moment. Yeah. Suppose if I, what I mean by response headers is, if we go to network and reload this particular website, right? Here, headers, these response headers we are not seeing by default. So if you want to see it, okay, we again have to use a particular flag in our curl command. Okay, so to find it out, what I can do, curl hyphen help and then grep for headers. Like what is the, how we are supposed to find out what are the headers being written. uh, just a moment, let me see if hyphen I is the one. No, that's not the one. uh, Print headers in curl. Okay, or okay, get response. So what is the flag for that? We can go through the help method, but yeah, it's going to take a lot of time. So just a moment. Okay, so I guess hyphen v should work. Okay, hyphen, okay, this hyphen I is not valid. Okay, fine. So what we are supposed to use, hyphen v, if we use, it is going to show us the request headers and response headers as well. So we are supposed to send a get request to this endpoint. Okay, so get is pretty straightforward, right? We don't have to use a lot of uh, flags here. Directly mentioning curl space, then the endpoint, which is this, and then the path is ctf get cookie. So the whole URL is like this. Then if I put enter like this, okay, it is returning as check your cookies. Okay, but we are not seeing the cookies actually, because we are not displaying the response headers. Cookies are returned in the response headers in the beginning. So what we are supposed to do, we are supposed to use hyphen v. I can use this hyphen v before http as well, or after it as well. Now if you see hyphen v, you can see that this was the request. Okay, that was sent. Okay, the like get to this particular point, this is the, and this is the domain name, user agent, and all these things. This is the request and this is the response. Like we got a 200, and in the set cookie we have the flag. Okay, so this flag actually we are supposed to submit here. Okay, because that's what we got from the cookies. So if you use hyphen v option, okay, hyphen v you can use anywhere. I told you flags you can use anywhere, but most of the time there should be a space. Just a moment. I will clear the screen. hyphen v if you use in the beginning as well, it should be fine. So there is no fixed syntax for it. Okay, so the same thing you can see right now. Now the final thing is, once we get the cookies right, here when we set the cookies right, using storage and cookies, here when we set these cookies, when we were reloading the page, it was browser was sending these cookies by default. Okay, but with curl that's not the case. Okay, if you want to send the cookies, you have to mention what cookies you want to send to a particular request. Okay, so that's what we are going to do now. Here see, it's asking us to set a cookie. The cookie name would be this, the value would be this, and send a get request to this particular endpoint. Okay, so this is the endpoint, our method is get. That is also straightforward, we are not supposed to use hyphen x or something like that, because by default the method is get only. And here we are supposed to send this request to this particular endpoint. So I'll paste it, I will put the path after it. So the path is like the whole URL is combined of the main domain plus the path only. Okay, so this is our whole URL. Now we are supposed to set a cookie. Okay, so how you can do it? I will open a new tab here just to show you what flag you are supposed to use. Okay, so curl hyphen help and grep for the cookie, like anything that we have related to cookie. So you can see that there is a hyphen c or hyphen cookie. Okay, that you can use to set cookies. No, hyphen cookie or hyphen b to send the cookies from as a string or from a file. We have the cookies, so we will send it as a string, or okay, like in words only. How we can do it? You are supposed to use curl. Okay, just a moment, we have that other, yeah, this is already there. So here this is our get request to this particular endpoint, but we are supposed to send these cookies, right? How you can do it? You can use either hyphen b, okay, or you can use hyphen cookie. Okay, anything cookie, anything is fine. Okay, and within that you are supposed to send the cookie name and cookie value. So the cookie name is flag please, value is also flag please. So how you can do it? You can put it like this in double quotes. Just a moment, I'm not exactly remembering whether it's equal or a colon. Yeah, so this is how, like, put the cookie name first, then equals to cookie value. Okay, using hyphen cookie uh, flag. Okay, with curl command. So that's how we got this particular flag. Okay, and this is the right answer. So what we discussed actually, I will mention here only. We discussed how to send a get request without anything, how to send a post request. Okay, for that one we used a hyphen x to mention our HTTP method. Also we used hyphen double hyphen data as well to send the data, right? Like it was like this, like our data. So this syntax was there. Then we had again a get request, but we wanted to see what is the response. Okay, what is the cookies being returned in the response. So that's why when we sent it to this particular any URL, we use hyphen v. Okay, what it will do, it will show you a request headers and response headers. Okay, so hyphen v for that. Then we had another get request to a URL, but we are supposed to set a cookie. Okay, I'll show you if what if you do not set the cookie, what will happen to that exact request only. If I do not put these cookies, okay, press enter, it is telling you that your cookies wasn't named correctly or an error occurred. Okay, that's why when you set the cookies using this particular thing, you get the cookie, right? So that's what happens if, because server is checking whether this particular cookie is coming or not. If it is coming, then only it's going to return us the correct response. So that's what is happening. So if you want to set a cookie, what you can do, you can use hyphen b and the same syntax, like cookie name equals to cookie value, or you can replace this hyphen b with hyphen cookie as well. Okay, I guess this is much clear, it easier to remember compared to hyphen b, because it hyphen b doesn't resolve, like doesn't relate to cookies. So that's why this is much easier to remember. So that way you can send a cookie with any request. Okay, now if you had to send a post request with some cookies, okay, what would you would have to use, like a post request, it is there, right? So using curl, if you want to send a post request, you will have to use curl hyphen x post. This is our HTTP method. Then again your cookie, okay, whatever cookie is, that is, suppose test is the cookie name, test123 is the cookie value, and you have to send some data as well, okay, in the request body. So that would be data, and then whatever data, our data. So that's how you can make a post request as well with cookies, in, including your request body or your what they call like data, okay, with the request. So that way you can do it. So yeah, that's all for today. Thanks.